Hey everyone, Mauricio here. In this video, we'll show you a sneak peek of the progress this week at Starbase, with a special focus on the newly revealed steel plates and construction under the OLM. These images are from yesterday's flyover on Friday, June the 30th. These images are fresh off the press, so we're going to give you our initial impressions while saving the further in-depth analysis for our Starbase weekly livestream on Saturday, as well as a 20-minute recap video coming out on Tuesday. Looking at the Massey's test site, we see that the quick disconnect framework at the new booster crowd testing station has been connected with the pipework from the tank farm. This framework will hold the booster quick disconnect unit, which will load the booster with cryogenic fluid, testing its ability to hold cryogenic liquid under pressure. This is also known as cryoproofing. Moving down to the booster puck shucking station. It now has concrete poured in it to provide a strong base for the 13 thrust ramps to sit on. We then take a look at the top section of the nose cone cage, which had its upper platform removed and installed on top of the bottom section of the nose cone cage. Moving on to Sanchez, we take a look at the steel plate manifold assemblies, which have all been completely uncovered. We also see these steel frames welded to the tops of them, which we believe will be used to lift the steel plate assemblies into position below the orbital launch mount. This is yet another promising sign of the imminent transportation of these steel plates to the launch site and subsequent installation under the OLM. Moving to the right, we look inside the inventory tent, which has had the wall completely removed from the Remedios Avenue side, just as we expected. Peeking inside the tent, we can now see that the large steel plate assembly that will sit in the very center under the OLM has been fully exposed. It is a hexagonal shape with these extensions sticking out of 4 of its sides. Here's a render by the space engineer showing the design of the centerpiece steel plate based on what we saw during yesterday's flyover. And this is what it will look like installed under the OLM, as seen in this older render. It remains to be seen how effective these water-cooled steel plates will be under the thrust of 33 Raptor engines, especially with the increased thrust at liftoff, as mentioned by Elon Musk during his Twitter Space talk last week. As of Friday night, this centerpiece hexagonal steel plate was moved from the Sanchez inventory tent to the launch site for installation. Before proceeding to the build site and the launch site, as Starship's second flight approaches, we'll provide more quick updates as they occur. To stay informed, subscribe and like the video if you're enjoying it so far. Starting off at the high bay, the single ring with 24 holes that was sleeved over an E-dome last week has been stacked onto an untiled ship payload bay. It's likely this is a new test article that will be used to gather structural integrity data of ship payload bays before the next integrated flight test of Starship occurs. We can probably expect it to be tested at Massey's once this test article has been fully assembled. Stay tuned for our weekly 20-minute recap video on Tuesday for a render of this test article. Moving on to the right, we see that more footings for the second phase of the expansion of the Star Factory have been formed in the ground, reaching all the way down to Highway 4. Any sign of the pipework assembly building, ground fabrication building, and low bay have previously existed here have been completely erased just as quickly as SN11 was. Now let's fly further east to the launch site, where we see a new horizontal methane storage tank has been installed on the 2 recently formed concrete pedestals in the orbital tank farm. Next, let's look at the straight down shot of the orbital launch mount, where SpaceX has been busy with rapidly pouring concrete into the bottom layer of rebar, which has now created the POW cap. We can expect the remaining concrete pour to be done soon for the pad that the water-cooled steel plates will sit on. We also notice that the amount of the assembled rebar has dramatically increased, now reaching past the outside of the rest of the pad where concrete was churned up in Starship's first integrated test flight. The booster hold-down clamps have also been reinstalled on the 20 hold-down clamp arms of the launch ring. And that's it for our brief overview of the changes at Starbase this week. If you'd like to see other angles and hear more in-depth analysis, stay tuned for our Starbase weekly livestream on Saturday and the 20-minute Starbase flyover update coming out on Tuesday. Support us on Patreon to gain access to premium flyover pictures. This support also helps pay for the expenses associated with the flyover. The link is in the description down below. Thank you for watching, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed our content, and subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on seeing more videos like this. And that's all for now.